Hey guys, in today's video, I'm going to be seeing if I can qualify for my first solo cash cup of Season 2. I've actually never qualified for any tournament before, so let's see if I can make my first finals. If you guys liked this video and would like to see more, make sure to like and subscribe. Going into game number 1, I knew I was going to need about 63 points to qualify, which evens out to 15th place per match, so I decided I would play really passive and only fight if I needed to. While looting up, I started to get shot at, so I decided I would just dip so I wouldn't risk killing my first game. Looking back on it, I probably should have just fought back, but knowing that pros like Asian Jeff and Oliver OG landed there, I didn't want to risk fighting a pro. I found this pretty good camping spot over at Reckless Rails and ended up camping here for a couple of zones. I ended up dropping down to look for some better loot and maybe some movement, but this guy ended up trapping me since I didn't realize that they had took out sewer tunnels. He started pushing towards me, and I was starting to think of how I could get out of this situation. But luckily, another guy came and distracted him, allowing me to get out of the situation. I ended up rotating over to fencing as that's where zone pulled, and as I was looking for some more loot and trying to find this place to camp, this guy ended up chasing me down. I tried to juke him out by hiding behind the barrels, but he ended up placing a wall which ended up breaking all of the barrels and got me exposed. I tried to fight back, but he had too good of an angle. I ended up 2 points over the qualifying threshold. Nothing interesting happened in game number 2, so I just cut right to the end. As I was rotating into zone, this guy ended up holding me and keyed me. I tried to get a medkit off, but I ended up keying me right as I started popping it. I started expanding to try and survive. I don't know how he didn't get shot at this whole time, but I just kept building, and as I dropped down, I thought I got all the walls, but I didn't get one of them, and he got a free shot off and finished me off. I ended this game with 9 points, which means I was still 2 points above the qualifying threshold. Once again, nothing really happened in game number 3 until I got to the end, and as I was farming metal, this guy ended up jumping me and getting the free kill on me. I tried to escape, but it wasn't enough, and he full boxed me and got the kill. It was a pretty disappointing end to the game, but I still got 7 points, which means I was on par with qualification. Once again, I just got looted up and went over to another hiding spot at Reckless Railways and stayed here for most of the game. Reckless Railways ended up pulling multiple times, so I just ran over to another hiding spot in Reckless and hoped it pulled. And as you'll see, I got lucky and it ended up pulling again. I ended up getting a super far pull and had to shoot at this guy as he was coming in so he wouldn't shoot at me. I ended up getting stuck back in Storm and tried to survive on my way out. But since I was getting lobby focused and I only had 50 health, it was pretty much impossible to survive. But once again, I was put 2 points over the threshold with an 11-point game. I ended up being hot dropped on my spawn and ended up selling my drop again. I tried to go for this launch pad over here, but someone had a better drop, so I decided to loot shambles and land at this house. I was pretty shambles the whole game, but Reckless ended up pulling multiple times once again, so I just kept camping here to get as most placement as I can. As I was camping, this unlucky guy ended up walking right into my Gatekeeper shotgun after getting out of a fight. Unfortunately, this guy threw an EMP which took most of my shield, and I ended up dying right here as my pump hit him for 83, and I missed all of my SMG shots. But once again, still a good 10-point game. I tried to make a smart play by going to this launch pad so I could go down to my spot early and beat everyone, but I ended up going too high when I was gliding and was not able to make it. So I just glided over to this other launch pad and looted pretty shambles in order to keep surviving. I walked out of this house with 3 minis, a pistol, and an AR. I ended up only having about 3 minutes left at 41st place, so I just decided I would go and key a random box so I could get into my final match. But it didn't go well, and I only ended up getting 2 points. After that, I was at 50 points with being able to play 1 game more, and I needed either a top 15 with 1 kill or a top 10 to qualify. Unfortunately, I had a really bad drop and called this guy for an auto shotgun, which he got, and I made it out of there with 22 HP and just hoped and prayed that he wasn't able to hit me one more time, because if he had an AR, I would have been dead. As I was camping in this bush, another guy just ran straight into it, giving me the metal and weapon refresh that I needed. After getting that 1 kill, now I knew I needed top 15 in order to qualify, and I was at top 30. I just try to make smart rotates and stay in front of zone in order to keep staying alive. Fortunately, I had a pretty free rotate, which ended up with me getting in the zone without taking any shots at all. I was just holding my walls and hoping no one sprayed me while everyone else around me died. And just like that, I qualified. But this game wasn't over yet. I wanted to see if I could win this game to get even more points and a higher placement. Sit back and enjoy the show. Although I ended up dying, I gained 5 extra points, which ended up putting me at 5,463rd place. Going into my first game of finals, I was pretty nervous, not gonna lie, since it was my first ever finals in a tournament, but I was getting pretty stacked off a spawn with max wood, max brick, and gold shotgun, a drum gun, chugs, and 2 medkits. Oh my god, I'm getting blessed. On top of that, I was able to pick up a mid-game kill on this guy who wasn't expecting it. This ended up giving me another med kit and stacked me up to max metal. Going into the end game, in half and half, I was looking pretty good as I ended up pulling again. I was also able to pick up this little kill, which stacked me up once again and gave me Fizz. which would end up being really good for rotation. Nice. Going into this rotate, I ended up getting hit pretty hard, but was able to use my fizz to top off on some shield. Me missing my jump right there might cost me this game, as it put me on a much worse layer in a much worse position. Going into this next rotate, I hit this kid in front of me from the back pretty hard. I ended up getting back shots that took me down to 60 HP. Once again, I was on a horrible layer and got hit pretty hard again, but I was luckily able to get this mech hit off. As I was following up these builds, I hit this guy down pretty hard for 158. And it seemed to be going well, but then this guy crouched up behind me and sprayed me with his burst SMG. Going into game number 2, once again, I ended up selling my drop and landing shambles over on this little house. Making my way out of there with nothing but a green pistol, I found this little tree house to allow me to get some more loot. Once again, I kept looting down to this little fireplace and got a little bit more loot and some shield. Luckily, I was able to lock down this bunker, which gave me the big refresh that I really needed. Although I had to go back down because I forgot the gold, I ended up walking out of there with a purple shotgun, purple burst, fizz, a med kit, and some chug splashes. I was looking pretty decent here, and I saw this kid camping, and I made a really stupid play to charge at him. Just watch how this fight goes down. Made a really stupid play to charge at him. I got max pump, and he shot me in the back as I was running away. Going into my final game, I was definitely very nervous after those last 2 incidents, but luckily I was able to get 2 med kits out of spawn, but nothing much else. I just camped here on this launch pad for the next 2 zones and then rotated into Reckless. I ended up getting the worst pull possible all the way across the map. Unfortunately for me, I ended up getting really hard hit on my rotate, and then I tried healing up, but it wasn't much use. This guy just kept spraying me and wouldn't stop, and he ended up shooting me through my builds. It was definitely a disappointing end to the tournament, but since it was my first time ever calling the finals, I take it as a win. Please make sure to use my code in the item shop. It helps me out a lot and doesn't cost you guys a thing. As well, if you could DM me proof on my Instagram of using my code, I'll be giving a V-Buck giveaway. If you guys like this video, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you get updates every time I post a weekly video. And now we'll do it. Thank you guys for watching, and goodbye.